Prabhupada, why should India's big culture be lost for the matter of these rascal leaders? Prabhupada continued. This should be stopped. As Krishna says, Chaturvarnam Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma. There must be ideal Brahmins, ideal Kshatriyas, ideal Vaishyas. That is the Krishna consciousness movement. It is all inclusive. The economic question, Krishna says, Anad Bhavanti Bhutani, grow food, practical. When I was traveling, millions of clerks were coming. Education, educated. And who will grow food? Then these clerks have to be provided in these pigeonholes and depend on rations. Is that civilization? Throngs of people are coming, just like ants. And when you go to the village areas, all vacant land. No one is interested to produce food. Everyone is interested to live in the city, in these pigeonholes, and go to the cinema, the brothel, the club, and learn how to drink, how to become, quote, gentlemen. Is that civilization? The aim of human life is lost. You do not know why you are going to the office, why you are eating. They're keeping people in an animal mentality, doggish mentality. We have explained. University education means a doggish mentality. Unless he becomes a dog, there's no food. Give me some food. For 500 posts, 300,000 applications. Oh, yes, Kartikeya agreed. For 5 jobs, 5,000 people applied. Is that education? Prabhupada asked. Better not be to be educated. Those who are not educated, they can purchase 10 rupees worth of potatoes and sit down anywhere. They have no scarcity. And after spending so much money, living at the cost of fathers and mothers, they are unemployed, no job, no food. Then they plan something, Naxalite, this party, that party, or join some political movement and help Indira Gandhi. They are paid to make propaganda. But all that has vanished now, said Kartikeya. That plan has failed completely. Like many Indians, he was hopeful that with the new election, things would get better. Not failed, Prabhupada corrected. Another man will come because unemployment is there. When we were children, we were purchasing mustard oil for 8 annas for 2.5 kilos. Now it is selling for 13 rupees per kilo. Will the change of government bring the 13 rupees to 3 annas? Then what is the benefit? It is the same stool, whether this side or that side. People are not going to get any relief by this change of government. So we are not so concerned about 13 rupees or 3 annas or some way or other, people are getting their things. That's all right. But the real loss is to remain in animal mentality and forget the aim of life. That is the real loss. Krishna says plainly, Ashradadana Purusha Dharmasyasya Parantapa Mam Aprapya Navartante Ritu Samsara Vartmani. This Bhagavad Gita that I am speaking, if one is not interested to hear it or take it, then the result will be that he will not get me. So, what is loss if I don't get you? Mrityu samsara vartmani. Then go again to the cycle of birth and death. That's it. That is natural. That is nature's law. why this human form of life should be lost in this way. At least try to give this knowledge to the people in general. This is para upakar. That is that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's gift. And especially India can do it. Bharata Bhumite Haile Manusha Janmajar Janma Sarthakari Para Upakar. This natural tendency of the people here is to be God conscious, Tamal Krishna said, but the government is artificially checking. Will this new government be any different? No, the same fools and rascals. So we have to be very strong in our center here in Bombay. We are for everyone. We are not for any particular nation or any particular person. Our preaching has to be so strong that it will counteract the government's preaching, the movies, and all these other Kali Yuga things. Oh, yes, all influences. People are in darkness, and the politicians keep them like dogs, hogs, and camels, and take votes from them and become leaders. Nobody protested that I called all men dogs, hogs, and camels. No one came forward that you are using very strong words because it's a fact. They especially liked your idea of American money and Indian culture, Hridayananda said. They applauded for that. That is my mission, Prabhupada agreed. I am doing that. I am bringing money from America. Nobody is paying me. It is not a joke. 10 lakhs of rupees? Who else brings? Every big export company, even big export companies don't bring so much, said Gopal Krishna. And they will be glad, Prabhupada predicted. They have got money and they are getting culture. I am trying for United Nations. That is the real attempt, not this United Nations, all rogues and thieves and cheaters, barking dogs. I am trying for real United Nations. Let us cooperate together nicely. Your Bombay project is very impressive, Hridayananda reported. We've just taken a tour. Therefore, I persistently took that place, Prabhupada said. Nobody encouraged me. Nobody helped me. I hesitated a little that if I am persistent to take it, they will not cooperate. It may be failure. Still, I took it. And only 50,000 and 1 lakh rupees I gave this thief Nair. All right, take it. Come on. Whatever I have got, you take it. Still, he thought, oh, I'll get money. He had already played the trick with one man, Tamal Krishna said. Still, I took the risk that I have no money. If he cheats me, that's all right, but let me attempt. Then you installed the deity as soon as possible. Yes. Immediately after leaving Akash Ganga, all Krishna's desire. Everyone is appreciating how wonderful this project is. All of Bombay. So many obstacles, one after another, one after another, one after another. Krishna would not leave. No, that was my request. Please sit down here tight. Then I shall do everything. Practically, Giriraj has not left either, Panchadravida added. Yes, Prabhupada said. He has not trembled in any circumstance. That is his qualification. That nasty place, hot, mosquitoes. You also live there. No gentleman can live there. Rats, mosquitoes, and so much inconvenience. You had no place. Sometimes here, sometimes there, sometimes there. You were also so inconvenienced, Tamal Krishna said to Prabhupada, you had to move. One time you were living in that. But for me, you make good arrangement wherever I live, Prabhupada noted. That's all. But I know how you were living in that nasty hut full of dirty things, mosquitoes, rats, dripping of water, and Nair was attacking, municipality is attacking. You always said that we were so trained, we would even live on the roadside. Oh, yes, that you are trained, Prabhupada said with a laugh. You don't care for this palace or underneath a tree. Formerly, we were living like that as hippies, and now we live like that to serve you. I was living in Radha Damodar Temple. It was not a palace, but before that, I was living in a palace, Keshigat. But this Goswami called me that you live here. And I said, all right, Jiva Goswami's place, let me go there. Now organize, make a very good plan that our Bombay temple will be always crowded with thousands of men, and some program must go on. You mentioned the other day that 500 devotees should always be there, Tamal Krishna said. Oh, yes, we have got room. Jai, Srila Prabhupada, devotees exclaimed. So enthusiastic, all young men. Our enthusiasm is coming from you, Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna said. I'm an old man, Prabhupada whispered. But we didn't see him that way. To our eyes, he was ever fresh. At the Pandal, Prabhupada continued his strong preaching through his books, which were read out loud, and through his and his disciples' talks. On the second night, Hridayananda gave a preliminary address, and Prabhupada spoke mainly on the Bhagavad Gita. When I invited people to come forward with their questions, the first man asked, when chanting, you chant the name of Rama as well as Krishna, but I do not see any photograph of Rama here. What is the reason? You do not see, but can you hear? Prabhupada asked. I do not see, the man insisted. Prabhupada exploded. But you do not hear. And he explained that hearing was the best way to understand what one could not see. Hearing is also experiencing, he said. Why do you want to see? Seeing and hearing are the same thing. Supposing you have a grandfather. Are you seeing him? How do you accept you had a grandfather? That is hearing. No, I saw him also. You did not see your great-grandfather. How do you know? How do you know? Hearing is also the process. My question is whether there is distinction between Rama and Krishna. The distinction is that hearing is also a process of acquiring knowledge. Why don't you accept it? Simply seeing is not acquiring knowledge. There are so many senses, and hearing is the first-class sense for understanding what you cannot see. When I asked others to come forward and inquire, Tamal Krishna turned to Prabhupada and said, I think you scared them away. The next man said, how can I know the unknown with the known? How did he get all these things, all these details? I mean, the whole book full of details. How did he get it all? That is already explained, Prabhupada replied. How could you know your great-grandfather from the Parampara system? Your father says, yes, I had my grandfather. So from the authority of your father, you can understand. This is easy process. Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo vidu. You have to hear. Therefore, Veda is called Shruti. Shruti means you have to hear from the right source. Then you know. That is knowledge. You don't hear from a cheater. You hear from the right source. Then the knowledge is perfect. I mean, that was an interesting answer to his question. How can I know the unknown with the known? Third question. If a man is highly religious, it is very difficult for him to move in the material world. How should he move with materialistic people? Answer. You have to understand your spiritual identification because you are fools and rascals. You are thinking, I am this body. And Krishna gives instruction in the beginning that you are not this body. Dehi nosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara. Asmin dehe, you are within the body. You are not this body. Krishna is authority. You have to take it. But Krishna is not only simply speaking authoritatively, he is giving practical example. Dehi nosmin yata dehe komaram yovanam jara. Because the soul is within this body, it is changing. Tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. You have to become dhira, sober, not adhira. There are two classes of men, dhira and adhira. In order to become a dhira, you have to go to a guru. Tad vijnanartam sagurum eva abhigachit. You have to be trained up. Then you'll understand, not so quickly, without being dhira. Dhiras tatra namuyati. I saw that Prabhupada could answer any question with clarity and conviction just on the basis of Bhagavad Gita. And he was practical. If one wanted to be spiritual and move in this world among materialistic people, he had to be trained by Guru to become dhira, sober, undisturbed. The last of several more questions was, can you please explain what is our only way for salvation? Yes, Prabhupada said. People are so fallen, they cannot take the life of tapasya. Atata Brahma Jigyasa. This is the life of tapasya. Tapo divyam putra kayena shudyed satvam tapasa brahmacharjena yamena niyamena va. So there is a process of tapasya, but in this age, Kali Yuga, people are so fallen they cannot undergo all the items of tapasya. It is very difficult. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not manufacture. It is mentioned in the Shastra that one can go back to Godhead only by this process. Kalir doshanidhe rajan asti eko mahan gunan kirtanadeva krishnasya mukta sangha parambrajet. This is a special concession to the Kali Yuga, that there are so many faults in this age, but if one sticks to this principle of Kirtanadeva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Parambrajet, he becomes liberated and goes back home, back to Godhead. The gentleman inquired further, and is it so in Srimad Bhagavatam, is it also written that many great men want to be here in Kali Yuga because it is easier for salvation? Yes, that I am speaking. Krishnasya Kirtanad Eva Mukta Sangha Param, simply by chanting. Therefore, we see practically that these Western people, they are not coming from high-class Brahmin or Vaishnava families, but still, by Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya, they are becoming so liberated that they are preaching Krishna consciousness all over the world. Break. Every evening at the Pandal, a prominent guest would give a short introductory talk, and on the third night, the chief guest was Justice J.M. Gandhi of the Bombay High Court. Continuing with the theme of tapasya from the previous night's program, Prabhupada had Bhavananda read aloud the first two verses and purports of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 5, Lord Rishabhadev's teaching to his sons. Quote, Lord Rishabhadev told his sons, my dear boys, of all the living entities who have accepted material bodies in this world, one who has been awarded this human form should not work hard day and night simply for sense gratification, which is available even for hogs and dogs and hogs that eat stool. One should engage in penance and austerity to attain the divine position of devotional service. By such activity, one's heart is purified, and when one attains this position, he attains eternal blissful life, which is transcendental to material happiness and which continues forever. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger, and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Prabhupada spoke briefly and then took questions. If God is everywhere, a man asked, why is his presence not felt by everyone? Everyone is not intelligent, Prabhupada. Mostly they are rascals. He loves that word. Manushanam Sahasreshu. This is the statement by God that out of millions of persons, one tries to become perfect, and out of many millions of perfect persons, one can understand God. So understanding God is not so easy. But if we want to understand, God will help us. That is the point. I don't think God is opposed to sex, the next man said. I have heard many lectures, and it is always stressed that if God is opposed to sex, it is stressed as if God is opposed to sex. But I don't think that's so. God is never opposed to sex, Prabhupada responded. Who said? God said, Dharma virodho bhuteshu kamosmi. Sex is not against the regular principles of religion that I am, which is not. God never says, stop sex. Otherwise, why is there Grihastha ashram? Ashram means that there is Krishna consciousness. So make it ashram and follow the rules and regulations of ashram. Then it is all right. Otherwise, you are bound up by the laws of nature. The man then referred to Prabhupada's purport that Bhavananda had read. Quote, one of your principal statements was that man goes on the local train, stands there for 2 hours, reaches his place of business, and works there from 9 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the evening, returns back, has his food and sex, and all that. I found many people who have worked very hard, raised children very nicely, and have sex, but lead a good life. I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. Yes, if there is no wrong, Prabhupada said, it is all right. But this sort of life is not very palatable. Because I find even the dog, if you like that life, Prabhupada interrupted, then that is up to you. But I don't think that it's a very nice way of life to work hard simply for bread. No, I agree there. Then, agreed. Then why disagree? That's all right, no more. And Tamal Krishna called for others. Would you agree that God is just a concept? One man asked. If you do not, please give a logical reason for that. Why shall I agree that God is only a concept? Prabhupada asked. Because I want it logically. You don't know logic. You have to learn logic. But I would like you to explain it logically. Yes, but you have to learn how to know it. There's a master, just like you cannot prove logically that without father, there is a child. There cannot be any child without father. Therefore, if anyone thinks that without father, there can be child. He is an animal. He has no logic. But still, the question is unanswered. Would you agree that God is just a concept? No, no. There must be Father. Just like you see that everything is growing out of this earth. Sarvayoni Shikonteya Sambhavanti Murtaya. There is mother and there is child. Then, where is the Father? This is logic. Unless you come to this point that there is another, there is mother, there is child, there must be Father, then there is no logic. Without Father, there cannot be child. Simply mother cannot give birth to a child. This is logic. Thank you. Now chant Hare Krishna. Back at Kartikeya Mahadevi's flat, Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna, and others discussed the previous night's program. It seems like you're giving more stress to science in recent years than previously, Tamal Krishna suggested. That is required for convincing the modernized man, Prabhupada replied. Then, after a long pause, he said, the ordinary man's logic that there is no God I cannot see, that we have defied. There is child, there is mother, there must be Father. This is logic, because without Father there cannot be child. Three things are required: mother, father, and child. Child means there must be Father and mother. Mother is there, the child is born, but where is the Father? We know who is the Father. What is his name? What are his activities? That is our advancement. And we do not know means you are not a respectable, wise chap. Use a different language than the other. Rascal. You do not know your father's name. Any respectable man in the court or anywhere, the father's name immediately. Your name, yes. Your father's name, is it not? If he does not know his father's name, that means he's not a respectable person. He has no respectable position. Anyone who does not know what is God, he is just like the child who does not know his father's name. Father must be there. That you do not know, that is your foolishness. Anyone who does not know who is his father, what is God, he is not a respectable man. It may be that you have not seen your father, but you cannot deny that with Father you were born. That is no logic. Is that logic? They don't know what the meaning is, what logic is, Tamal Krishna said. Orphan. Orphan does not mean he has no father. He does not know who his father is. But we are not orphans. We are taken care of by our very rich, wise Father, very able Father. We are not forlorn orphans. We have got respectability. And we offer our respect to our Father. We depend on our Father. We are safe. Everyone can become safe. The opportunity is offered. If you don't take, that is your misfortune. We are offering. Every one of you can become safe, safely protected by the Father, Krishna. Aham tam sarva papebhyo moksha. Why don't you take advantage? Then Prabhupada said to Hariswari, who was about to leave for Australia, we have got knowledge for understanding the whole philosophy. So try to convince others about this philosophy in Australia, and Krishna will help you more and more. The more you try to convince others about this Krishna consciousness, the more you become enlightened. He thought Sarup Damodar should preach internationally as well. You should make colorful slides and give presentations like this throughout the world, he told him, and suggested that he bring Krishna consciousness to Russia. Russian people like science, he said, but you should be accompanied by a cultural group. He turned to Sudama, the head of the Vaikuntha Players performing troupe and told him, "You should go with Swarup Damodar. Team up together. You make the cultural presentation. He will speak about the science of Krishna consciousness. Russian people are very enthusiastic about Vedic culture. It's a science. So this will be a very good combination." Prabhupada also said that when the auditorium at Hare Krishna Land was ready, it had been designed by the premier theater designer of Bombay. He wanted the troupe to perform there as well. Prabhupada very much appreciated Swarup Damodar's scientific presentation of Krishna consciousness, and the next night of the Pandal, he asked him to give the talk, and then spoke afterward, but only briefly. "Ladies and gentlemen," Prabhupada began, "the very learned, erudite, scholarly speaking by our Dr. Swarup Damodar Singh must have created some impression in your mind, I am sure. This Krishna consciousness movement is full of scientific knowledge. Jnanam teham savijnanam pravakshamya nasuyave." Krishna said to Arjuna that I am speaking to you knowledge, jnana, savijnana, with scientific understanding. So, why are you speaking to me? Jnanam teham savijnanam pravakshami anasuyave. Because you are not envious. That is your qualification. You are a very submissive student. Therefore, I'll give you. So the dictation is coming from Krishna, as Dr. Swarup Damodar said. Last night, he concluded, we were speaking of the Bhagavad Shloka, that this life should not be spoiled like hogs and dogs. We must learn how to love Krishna and love with love and affection and take instruction from him and to make our life successful. Then he left without taking any questions. The next evening, Prabhupada did not speak at all, but he listened as two leading cardiologists, Dr. Keshav Rao, Krishna Rao Datte, and Dr. S.N. Sharma, each spoke briefly in appreciation of Krishna consciousness. Dr. Datte was a pioneer of cardiology in India and had received the Padma Bhushan Award, India's third highest civilian honor. He said the heart disease could be eliminated by controlling anxiety, and then praised Prabhupada and his movement. And after the doctor's talks, Swarup Damodar gave another scientific presentation with slides. The following day at Kartikeya Mahadevi's flat, Prabhupada spoke about the importance of scientific preaching. I want that the intelligent men should come and learn this science, he told us. That is wanted. Yadyaracharati shrestas tatadevi tororjana sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. These people bring important men, important students, take this opportunity, give them a nice place so that they may not be uncomfortable. Give them good food. We have a lot of facility, I offered. Then there should not be any scarcity for their comfort. People are trained up to modern comforts. Therefore, I am building such big institutions. Otherwise, Radha Damodar Temple is sufficient for me. It is not for me that I want these big buildings. I'm accustomed to live anywhere. But those who are educated scientists, they are accustomed, Europeans, Americans, they must be given proper place. That was my Guru Maharaj's policy. Not that all of a sudden they should now live on the floor. No, that is not possible. Then they will be disturbed. Give them nice place, nice food, nice instruction. You are all intelligent boys. Do it immediately. Construct another building. That colony should be for first-class Krishna conscious people to preach. Prabhupada told Swarup Damodar, on the whole, I very much appreciated your presentation. I thank you very much. Thank you, Srila Prabhupada, he replied. Yesterday, there was sufficient crowd, Prabhupada said, returning to the Pandal program. There was a nice crowd, all respectable men also, Sridhar said. Tonight will be bigger. Sunday is always the biggest, Gargamuni added. I find that Bombay people are a little bit more open-minded, Srup Damodar said. Oh yes, Prabhupada agreed. Bombay is the best city in India, undoubtedly, from the very beginning, and the richest city. 63% of the government revenue is collected from Bombay. Bombay is so rich, 63% from Bombay and 37% from the rest of India. That is the position, and religiously minded. Yes, Srup Damodara said, I find that almost everybody appreciates Srila Prabhupada so much, especially in Bombay. Anyone who knows about Srila Prabhupada, they highly appreciate him, especially these scholars. The discussion turned to the reception of Prabhupada's books in America and how our preaching was strengthened by the devotees' expertise in so many fields. Art also, he said, art, literature, science, philosophy, religion, everything strong background. With such a foundation of knowledge, he assured us, with Srup Damodar's scientific background, there was no need to fear. Once this scientific basis is established, then everyone will be finished, Harisori predicted. It is very easy, Prabhupada said. There is a superior element, life. On account of that superior element, the inferior element has got meaning. Otherwise, it has no meaning. No, one serves a dead body, Harisori added. Push it to the ground. Push it into the ground and let it rot. That superior element you cannot manufacture by combination of these inferior chemicals, Prabhupada stated. It is actually such a clear and simple thing, Harisori said, but they become so complicated they can't understand. They have made it complicated, insufficient knowledge. They have been misguided, that's all, Srup Damodar said. Misguided, yes. Rascal leaders. Anda yatandayar upaniyamana, the blind leading the blind. We also would have been misguided in this area if we hadn't met you, hadn't met Srila Prabhupada, Srup Damodar said, addressing the devotees. I never agreed to be misguided by these rascals, Prabhupada said. Perhaps I'm the first man who protested against these unauthorized scientists. Oh, yes, Srup Damodar replied, very strongly. Everybody is afraid, except Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada chuckled. Frankly speaking, I never knew that the problem was this serious before I met Srila Prabhupada. I never thought about this. Therefore, I took it so seriously, Prabhupada said. Every morning walk, I was asking, where is this scientist? I thought, here I have got an opportunity to impress that will fructify. That was my aim. Therefore, I was bothering you in so many ways. It is your wonderful mercy, Srila Prabhupada, because I cannot use the technological words, and he can do that, Prabhupada said, referring to Srup Damodar, so he should be trained up. One day, Prabhupada spotted an Arab in traditional garb in the Pandal crowd and asked one of the sannyasis to call the man to the stage and seat him next to him. The man had worry beads in his hand, and Prabhupada asked him, what is that? What do you do with it? He replied that he just fiddled with the beads. Prabhupada showed him his japamala and said, we also have something like that, and we chant the names of the Lord and keep count. Your beads are also meant for chanting the name of God, Allah, and keeping count. So you should chant the name of the Lord, and you should just carry the string, and you shouldn't just carry the string of beads in the open because it is sacred. You should keep it carefully. You should get a bead bag like this so it is not exposed to unclean things. It turned out the man was the chief of police in Kuwait and a member of the royal family. He had come to Bombay for medical treatment, and on his first day out of the hospital, he was strolling in the area and saw the big pandal and crowd. And out of curiosity, he came to see what was going on. By bringing the man on stage and having him sit with the distinguished guests, Prabhupada demonstrated that Krishna consciousness was open to everyone and could be appreciated by everyone, even Muslims. He even asked the man to speak, but the man had reservations because he was a prominent person from a Muslim country and didn't want too much publicity. Overcoming his hesitation, however, the man joined in the kirtan, clapping his hands, and told Prabhupada that he liked the movement very much and would return the next day. Prabhupada invited him to come visit him at the Mahadevya's house. 2 days later, the man came with a Kuwaiti friend. Prabhupada told them that Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, was our original consciousness. Any system of religion which revives this consciousness is first-class religion. It doesn't matter whether he is Christian religion or Hindu religion or Mohammedan religion. The system which revives original consciousness that I am eternally related with God as part and parcel. My aim of life is to go back home, back to Godhead, and to act accordingly. This is God consciousness. Let me ask you one question, the man said. Now, your God is Hare Krishna, and Krishna, God is one, Prabhupada stated. God is one, that's right. Your God, my God, there's no difference. God is one. God means the supreme controller, Prabhupada explained. Everyone has to accept the supreme controller. So it's no question of your God, my God, his God. So that means, the man began, my religion is, there's no my religion also, Prabhupada clarified. If God is one, then to know God or to abide by the orders of God is religion. According to the Bhagavatam definition, Bhagavat definition, Dharmam tu sakshat Bhagavat pranitam. Dharma means the order or the laws given by God. Just the law means the order given by the state. Just like law means the order given by the state. Nobody can manufacture law at home. The state has ordered. Keep to the left. That is the law. You cannot make keep to the right. That is not law. Therefore, religion means the order of God. So we must know what is God and what is his order, and then you are religious. Otherwise, there's no religion. If there is no government, then where is the law? If there is no question of law, law means there must be government. And the order given by the government is law. Similarly, do you have a book about your religion teaching the rules? The friend asked. Oh, yes, Prabhupada replied. The Bhagavad Gita. We have got many books. This is the beginning, ABCD. First of all, learn ABCD. Then you go to the higher standards. It's available all over the world, Babananda said. And I don't think is it available? We can give him a copy. We have extra copies, Tamal Krishna said. It is not available in my country, the man said. Here, we have a copy, Tamal offered. We have got our center in Tehran, Prabhupada said. We've got many followers in Tehran. The in-charge man, formerly his name was Akhtar. Now I have changed his name, Atreya Rishi. I have got many Mohammedan disciples. Actually, sir, I respect your religion, but I would like to read some books, the man said. You will benefit, Prabhupada said. I will take some books with me. I just came from Bombay Hospital after treatment. The doctor allowed me. I've been walking like this, and then I came here. This gentleman saw me and offered me the opportunity to meet you. Tamal Krishna asked the man if he could stay for our program in the evening, which would run for only about an hour. And the man agreed, yes, of course I will. We have also got chanting beads. Prabhupada said. Far out. Like ours, the man said, yes. You know, in our religion, actually before I pray, I have to put this in, what do you call it? Sheyara. We call it Seyara. We keep these beads in a bag so that they may not touch the dust of the floor. Prabhupada said, oh, I see. No, I don't keep it on the floor. I keep it on the Seyara because I pray. Just to protect it, because we chant God's name, it is not different from God. That's right. God's name and God are the same, absolute. Namachintamani Krishnas, etc. The holy name of Krishna is transcendently blissful. It bestows all spiritual benedictions. This is a long translation. When you say Allah and Allahu Akbar, as you say, there is no difference. Allahu Akbar, the man repeated. Yes, Allah means the great, I think, Prabhupada said. God is great. So, in connection with his name, whatever is there, it is great, yes. I am very glad that you have come. Please try to study the philosophy. Prabhupada told the devotees to keep the man's information. Tamal Krishna gave him a pen and paper to write his name and address and asked if we could visit him in Kuwait sometime. Oh, yes, why not? The man replied, and his friend also gave his address and telephone number. Police department, the man explained. Inspector of police, Tamal Krishna said. So we won't have any difficulty finding you there. Of course not. You just called, the man said with a laugh. It's very kind of you to give this address, Tamal Krishna said. Okay, thank you. This is a very good opportunity, Hare Krishna. Please stay for the program. Yes, I will stay. Bhakti Swami later commented, just by calling that man to the stage, Prabhupada did $1 million worth of preaching. One of the most popular attractions in the Pandal was the dramatic performances of the Vaikuntha players. Lord Chaitanya himself played in dramas, and Prabhupada had told early devotees in New York about his own experience performing in a drama of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Quote, perhaps theatrical performances on stage, drama, were introduced by Lord Chaitanya, but his dramatic performances were limited within the devotees. He would not allow anyone who is not a devotee to take part in the performance. So if we train our devotees to present some dramatic performances or movie, I think it will be very successful because they will play from transcendental sentiment, not for trade purpose. That will come out very successful. Yes. In our childhood, we had the occasion of taking part in a drama, Chaitanya Leela. I took the part of Advaita, and our friends, others, somebody took the part of Chaitanya Nityananda and others. The director of the play had been Amrit Lal Bose, a well-known author and lecturer and one of the main theater producers in Calcutta. We practiced for more than a year, Prabhupada said. One of Bose's main points of training was to get the actors to internalize the feelings of the characters, and he kept telling Prabhupada, feel like Advaita Acharya. That drama was so successful, Prabhupada remembered. It was unique in Calcutta because we are not professionals. I saw from the stage a huge gathering, and they were all crying. I was surprised. Why these people are crying? It was due to training. He had trained us in such a way that we could not understand how we were playing, but the audience, they appreciated so much. With Prajapati directing, the Vaikuntha players performed the Ramayana in 2 parts and a piece with dance and music called the Song of Hanuman. The performers would come by taxi from Juhu, an hour's drive, in their elaborate costumes and makeup. They were quite a sight. Prajapati portraying Ram, his wife Shatarupa, Sita, Nandakishore Lakshman, Lohitaksha Hanuman, Rasagya Surpanaka, and Lokamangala Ravana, all riding in the cars. When they arrived the first night, Prabhupada was just leaving, but when he saw them, his face lit up and he beamed a big smile and expressed his happiness to see them. Ah, Song of Hanuman! The next night, Prabhupada was still speaking when the troop arrived. They did their street plays. Sudama gave the purports, and then Shatarupa danced Dasavatar, though there was a little trouble with the sound system, so the crew had to put the PA mic next to the small tape recorder speaker. But she danced beautifully, and the audience loved it, and her. There was also a dance version of the Bhagavad Gita that Prajapati choreographed to 108 Gita verses, which he narrated during the performance. One morning, during their run of shows, I informed the players that an important man, the pious industrialist and philanthropist K.J. Somaya, had phoned me to say that he was coming and bringing his family for Ram Leela, one of the most popular dramas. So, in spite of Rasagya, one of the main players being sick, they did it without a rehearsal. And unlike the dances, which were performed to pre-recorded music, the play required microphones, which created something of an obstacle course of tangled wires on the stage. But this performance too was a success. Towards the end of the Pandal, Prajapati, or Rama, still in character, took up a collection. He hadn't wanted to go back on stage for curtain calls, but Sudama and Achyutananda prevailed upon him to return, and after bows, he announced that if there were any Ram Bhaktas in the audience, they should come forward and give a donation to install the deity of Ram in Juhu. He collected many rupees, and hundreds of people touched his feet, Ram's feet. My devotees want to build a temple for me in Juhu, he called out, so please help. Prajapati really has a strong stage presence, even when he's just having a conversation. What to speak of when he's on stage? He's really a theatrical personality. Lives in Dallas. The morning after one performance, Gopal Krishna told Srila Prabhupada, the drama was very much appreciated last night. Somaya watched it with us, and he said he would like to arrange big program in his house. He liked the drama very much. If it has become one of the main attractions, Lokanath added. For 2 nights after the program, I inquired from the public on the microphone, did you like the drama? And immediately everybody raised their hands. Yes. They were asking me whether they were professional men, Prabhupada said. No, these are all my disciples. They're actually much better than any of the professional men, Gopal Krishna noted. Oh yes, Prabhupada confirmed. Later, Srinathji said, I remember how powerful the actors and actresses were in the Ramayana performance. The only thing, it surprised me to see Sita as an American lady. I didn't mind Ram or Ravana being American, but I was still in the Bali concept. The important thing was that these actors and actresses were so wonderful in their acting. They really brought out the best of the Ramayana. At the end, Prabhupada said that these performers were better than the book. Then he said, when Lord Chaitanya himself performed his plays 500 years ago, Sachi Mata, his own mother, could not recognize him, her own son. Lord Chaitanya, I believe, acted as Lakshmi Devi. That's the power of a strong actor who really puts his consciousness, heart, and soul into the role he plays. And that's when the Lord himself assists such an actor to exhibit all the qualities of that person I observed that, and Prabhupada was extremely happy with these Vaikuntha players. That was obvious at the end of the play. On the last scheduled evening of the Pandal, the chief minister of Maharashtra, the same fellow, right? Shankarao Bhaurao Chavan, who had helped us obtain the permissions for the temple, was scheduled to give the introductory speech. There had been political upheaval in Maharashtra, and there were daily reports that Chavan's Congress party could be toppled at any moment. We had been hoping that he would last as the chief minister at least until he spoke at the Pandal, and that he would not cancel. In the end, Chavan was still the chief minister and kept his commitment. Quote, Krishna consciousness is another term for God consciousness, which is the essence of every faith and is the main artery of all religions, he told the crowd. In that sense, Krishna consciousness belongs to the world, and the world belongs to Krishna consciousness, because no amount of mixtures of culture can change the fundamental principles of religion, whichever they may be. The essential principles of all religions enjoin on their devout followers the glorification of God, the Supreme Lord. It is in this context that I pay my full quota of deserving tribute to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the illustrious founder of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Joy in doing so. The philosophy and message of the Bhagavad Gita contains profound values for humanity as a whole. The fratricidal war between the Pandavas and Kauravas, as vividly and heart-throbbingly described in the Mahabharata, should act as a permanent restraint to the world powers who have armed themselves to the teeth with nuclear weapons and warheads, which, if used, could destroy the bulk of humankind, and with them would go the civilizations of the world, born out of endless years of human thought, endeavor, action, and sacrifice. The true significance of the Bhagavad Gita and its imperative values was never of greater importance than today. The great and indomitable founder of your society has already published 84 books in English on Krishna consciousness and Hindu philosophy and culture, which have also been translated to a great number of international languages. At the same time, the Society has, within just 11 years, established no less than 100 Radha Krishna temples across all 6 continents of the world. These are indeed great achievements. The fact that as many as 5,000 university schools and public libraries have ordered these books should ensure that Krishna consciousness will be blazoned across all parts of the globe, and the 100 temples built should in the future, no doubt, keep on radiating the soulful inspiration of the gospel of the Gita to the endless stream of humanity thirsting for spiritual knowledge and wisdom. These facts, and that a mammoth cross-section of the world's peoples belonging to many races, creeds, and nations are represented in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness speak eloquently for the vitality and velocity of in the better world of God consciousness that exists in the hearts of men behind the crass temptations and selfish involvements generated by impulses and compulsions of this modern materialistic world. In this hedonistic and cantankerous world of today, the first casualty has been the light of spiritual inspiration. Alas, there is darkness at noon. In the Orient and Occident, the problems of life could be lightened and even sweetened if the Krishna consciousness movement heralds the dawn of spiritual enlightenment and happiness. I am very glad to learn that the Sri Sri Radha Rasa Bihari Temple is fast coming up in Juhu on the very spot where stones were found indicating the existence of a temple 600 years ago. That will be another great event in the history of the society. I thank you again for letting me spend these few minutes in an atmosphere of peace and serenity in the company of those spiritually blessed. Shoo. After the Chief Minister's talk, I spoke. We wish to thank the Honorable Chief Minister S.B. Chaban for his beautiful talk and understanding of the Krishna consciousness movement, and we are very pleased to inform you that today we received a letter from Russia acknowledging receipt of 6 of Srila Prabhupada's books and thanking us very much for sending them. After pausing for applause, I continued. The letter further said that these books will be of great interest to scholars and persons in Russia specializing in Indian thought and culture. So, pursuant to what the Honorable Chief Minister said, this is further proof of the validity of Krishna consciousness, that Krishna consciousness is not a sectarian religious faith. There's so many different faiths and so many fanatical people following them, but Krishna consciousness is a universal science, valid in all parts of the world, and actually in all parts of the universe, all different universes for all different races, and not only all different races, but all different species of life, even among the demigods. The Krishna consciousness movement is all auspicious for the welfare of every living entity. Therefore, we say that Srila Prabhupada is the greatest welfare worker in the whole universe. Again, the audience applauded. He is actually giving relief to living entities all over the world, and this relief can be given only by Krishna consciousness, not by any material adjustment. Now we shall ask Srila Prabhupada himself, the real guru of the universe, to speak before this gathering. And again, the audience broke into applause. Achyutananda read a verse and purport from Srimad Bhagavatam 553, which stated that all everyone had to earn to keep the body and soul together, not more than nor less than that. People interested in Krishna consciousness were not interested in other things or in people who were busy with mundane activities. Rather, he read from Prabhupada's purport, a householder should lead such a life that he gets full opportunity to hear and chant. He should worship the deity at home, observe festivals, invite friends in, and give them prasad. And I think that's the end. I think there's a new section starting tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Although his health was so wrecked, he's like nonstop.